Max is really hounding me about this PowCon welder. He wants to know if it's any good, and so do I. So let's crack it open. I've already got the bolts loose. We'll see how it's configured. We'll put some juice to it, see if it works. Looks pretty good, kind of dusty. So it says here for 230 volt for 460 volt bus bars. So that must be here. So it does appear to already be set up for 230 volt. 3 wires coming in, so is it set up for 3-phase? I'm not sure. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 wires coming in, but the plug only has 3 wires. So I'm guessing they were using it single phase. I don't know if there's something we have to change as far as a jumper. I'll have to consult the manual, I guess. I was advised by a viewer to replace these Refa film capacitors. Apparently they have a tendency to explode. So we're going to do that, but I want to power it up first, just make sure that it works. Alright Max, go ahead and dial 9-1 and then just hold your paw over 1. No, I didn't hear any sizzling. I'm not exactly sure how to turn it on. Looks like that might be a something. Push button maybe? What happened? No, that doesn't seem quite right. I don't know, I think the wire might be rusted in the liner. Yeah, we probably should just get a new spool of wire. If you want to hate your life, try welding with a rusty spool of wire on a MIG welder. Alright. Well, that doesn't look so bad. That could be the problem. Yeehaw! There's no gas hooked up. Okay, works. There we go. Sometimes you got to read the manual. It says if you have no stick output, it's because the wire feeder is plugged in. So that kind of sucks. I don't know why you can't leave that plugged in all the time. It's got a switch that tells it it's in stick mode. Anyway, let's try it again. Cool. The ticking sound is supposed to be normal. It's the rectifier doing some kind of a self-test or something. The power is disconnected, but there's a lot of big scary capacitors in here that we really don't want to get on the wrong side of. So we're going to be very careful. I'm going to take a picture of this just to make sure I get everything put back the way that it should be. And then we will very gingerly start unhooking wires. I think our best bet's going to be to remove these heat sinks. Okay. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 600 microfarad film capacitors. I bought these from DigiKey. Should be identical. Let's see what happens here. I don't know if we can just kind of heat them up and pop them out, or if we're gonna have to get the sucker out. Come on. There we go. Now we should be able to use some wick to just suck that solder up. Maybe the smaller stuff will work better. Well, I don't know. Might be better off to go with the sucker. So I've got this Hakko 808 solder sucker. Let's get it fired up. What's going on here? Looks like we lost our suction. I'm going to change that filter. That's better. Alright, let's try this one. Alright, this one's a little more complicated. It's got a long tail that goes over to the diode in the middle. I guess they were too cheap to put a trace on the board. I don't know. I don't know if I got enough horsepower here to do this. There we go. That's not good. Well, unfortunately, I pulled the plated through hole through the board. So we're going to try to reattach it with some epoxy. The good thing is there are no traces that it attaches to, so it's really just to hold the component in place. Anyway, what I'm getting at is we don't really need it, but if we can put it back, that would probably be better than not having it. That's not too bad. We'll let it set up, see what happens. There's a little flux here. That'll work. Alright, we'll put some thermal transfer paste on these heat sinks. That way somebody can tell me in the comment section that I put the wrong amount on. As far as I'm concerned, this unit is ready for action. Not sure about this crazy contraption of a cart though. You want to talk about overbuilt. It probably weighs 300 pounds, and it's way bigger than it needs to be. I've never seen a reel setup like this. This has to be shop built. So the ground hooks to the chassis of the cart, and then so does this reel. And you loosen up this wing nut, you pull out your ground cable, you tighten it back up, and then I guess as long as this is tight, you have an electrical connection. Same idea on the electrode, but there's a couple of big pieces of plastic or rubber or something in here to insulate it from the chassis. Yeah. Is that bizarre or what? I mean, I know that there are reels like this, but they usually have slip rings or brushes or something in them. Yeah, I don't know. It'd be nice to have something that was a little more compact. You know, they have this big swing arm for the wire feeder. I believe that this bracket is designed to hook over the grab handles. So you got a nice kind of compact little unit there. This thing's pretty cool. I don't like the Tweco gun, but that's not a big deal. We could always swap that out. And then the output is 375 amps, but that's only with 3-phase power. If you have single-phase power, which is how I'm going to use it, you only get 200 amps. So it's really not any different than my Miller-Matic 200, although it has some fancier features. You got controls here for spray arc, short arc, and stick puddle control. I don't know if this has the ability to do scratch start TIG. I would think you could. Anyway, it has this volt and amp display, but that only shows you the actual volts and amps while you're welding, which I don't know how you're supposed to see that while you're using it. Anyway, it's pretty similar in setup to the Miller XMT 304. And some guys were saying that Miller bought these guys out and actually copied the design for the 304. I don't know if that's true or not, but
I've done quite a bit of welding with an XMT 304, and they're fantastic welders. They have a few more features than this guy, but pretty similar specs. Yeah, I guess if it works, keep it around here. Maybe we can set this one up for 35 or 45 wire and then switch my Miller-Matic over to the smaller wire for doing sheet metal. Something like that. The only problem we're going to have is if it ever breaks. I mean, they're not in business anymore. I don't think anybody's making repair parts for them. And they're pretty rare, I think, so finding used parts might be a challenge. But for what I've got in it, pretty hard to beat it.
Look what just showed up from our friends at welderservicerepairparts.com. I think that is a new, not new, used idle control board. Yes, sir. That looks a lot better than this much more exploded version. Thank you guys very much. I'm going to throw it in. We'll see if it works. Okay, I believe I labeled all these wires. So J and B should be power and ground. We got C, D. Oh, yeah, that's J. Can't read my own writing. Now, if I flip on the ignition switch, no fireworks. That's better than the old board. Okay, I'm gonna put it in. We're gonna assume that it works. That is fantastic. It works just like it should. And we don't necessarily need idle control, but it's nice to have. How long do you think that side panel's been off there? Since about the second day? It definitely does not match the patina of the rest of the machine. I've tried cleaning it up. It's a lost cause. I got a bunch of overspray on it, and you can't even chisel it off. So it's gonna look the way it looks. Anyway, this is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I never thought we would get all three of these machines working. I mean, if you saw the place they came from, it was not confidence inspiring. I don't know that I need 3 more welding machines, but now that I've seen how well they work, I think they're going to have to stay here at Wes's home for wayward welders.
Yeehaw.
That plasma cutter is sweet. Spoiler, I've never actually used a plasma cutter before, so there was a bit of a learning curve, but once I figured it out, man, it does a nice job. We're making a stand. This is 1 3/4 square tube. It's 11 gauge. Call it 1/8 inch or 3 millimeter. 1 inch square tube, 11 gauge, and the plate is 3/16. Call that, what, 4 millimeter? Something like that. Anyway, the parts are cut. We need to weld. I think we're going to stick weld it with the PowCon here. I found a mostly full box of 6013s. This should work pretty good for this thin material. It makes a nice wide bead. Plus, the advantage of stick welding is we don't have to mess around with these things. Welding tanks. What a scam this is. If you want to feel violated, take a welding tank to your local welding gas supplier and just try to get it filled. Actually, before that, try to get one of these tanks. They won't sell you these big ones. Everybody wants to lease them. Even if you do own them, you don't really own them. You're going to have ownership documents, which nobody has, certifications, which nobody does. And then even if you have all that stuff, depending on whose name is scribed into it, they may or may not be able to fill it anyway. So, like I said, you really can't own one. And then, if you get past all of those hurdles, you better sit down when you see the price. Welding gas and refrigerant, in my opinion, is basically a cartel. I don't even know how it's legal. There's only a handful of suppliers and they control the price. And unless you use a lot of it, good luck negotiating.
Yeah, we're going to start about 85 amps and see how it goes. I switched to 1/8 inch 7018. The 3/32 was okay for tacking, but it just wasn't enough rod for a full fillet weld.
Oh, I'm bleeding. I think it's an unrelated injury.
Tell that to the workman's comp lawyers.
I'm like, I don't even know how that happened. Because I didn't touch anything sharp.
Okay, now I need you to grab this gizmo here. Yep.
Well, this isn't nearly as heavy.
And slide it in.
Like this one?
Yep. Okay.
I need this one?
Yep.
Not this one.
Okay, it should sit there.
Okie dokie, Pinocchio.
All right, thank you.
It's cold.
Yeah. It's supposed to be -9 tonight.
I'm gonna go make some hot chocolate.
Sounds good. Thank you.
I'm not much of a stick welder, and I'm an even worse painter, but I think it'll hold up a 2x72 belt grinder just fine.
Come on, tube heater. Settle down. All right, announcement time. I made a post about this, but thanks to YouTube's horribly broken notification system, you probably didn't see it. If you want to see this 2x72 belt grinder in action, you're going to have to head over to my second channel, which for now I'm calling Gathering Dust. There'll be a link over here or down in the description or in the comments or somewhere. I'm sure you guys can find it. It's kind of a dumping ground for projects that are a little bit outside of our normal wheelhouse. I've got some restorations and some knife making and hunting, cooking, outdoorsy type stuff. I don't know for sure what's going to be on there, but it's a little bit maybe controversial or provocative. So I figured rather than, confuse the algorithm and get put on the YouTube naughty list, we'll just start up a second channel. So far, it's really taken off. So that's pretty cool. We'll have to see how it goes. I've got, I don't know, probably a dozen videos recorded. I just need to get them edited and posted. So I think, if I remember right, there's a button you can push, maybe down below the video, that will notify you when I post those videos. I think I've heard about it. Anyway, see if you can figure that out. Check it out. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching.